Well, back on the road again, eh, Maddie? Hey, can you put the camera on yourself? And Tommy, the guys you don't see. Anyway, we're in, how do you pronounce it? Jaisalmer? Jaisalmer. The Golden City, as they call it. You might know it from the fort, a sort of medieval city on a hill. It looks so cool. You can really feel the age of this place. It feels ancient. And we're gonna see it all aboard the Royal Enfield Super Meteor 650. Jaisalmer, 900 years old, this city, the city on the hill. People still live here. The place is handed down from generation to generation. It is old and it is chaos. My first ride on the Super Meteor. Talk about thrown into the deep end. Thread the needle. Look at this place. Feel like a little sheltered boy coming from Melbourne. It feels like another world, but it's beautiful. I've been treated with absolute kindness everywhere I've been. The Super Meteor's a really big bike in India. It's about as big a bike as you'll ever see. And I wouldn't want to be on anything much bigger. This is quite delicate riding. Expect the unexpected. Anything could happen at any moment. If I never heard a horn again, it would be too soon. But you need it. Oh, totally normal. I thought I was on Johnson Street, Collingwood for a moment. You know, India wasn't really ever on my immediate list of places to travel, but how wrong was I? It's just something you can't get staying at home. You can't get this on the television. Full on, full on. As you can see, I'm keeping my gear pretty close to me. I don't know if there's many thieves knocking about, but I'm probably not running the risk being this green. Obviously in these places, people are sort of hassling you all the time, selling you clothes and leather goods and whatever. I'm perfectly sympathetic, you know, there's a lot of poverty around here. They got to hustle, I get it. But one thing really funny just happened. This guy goes, "Oh, it's your second time here." And I said, "No, it's my first." He goes, "No, it's your second. I met you in a previous life and then you bought a rug." So he said, "You should buy one again." We're back at home base briefly, so while we've got 5 minutes, and I mean 5 minutes, I thought we better actually talk about the motorcycle. The Super Meteor 650 is, of course, the third of the 650 twins, joining the Interceptor 650 and the Continental GT 650. But it's not so simple as taking the Interceptor and turning it into a cruiser, and it's equally not as simple as taking the Meteor 350 and banging a bigger engine in it. There is a lot that's unique to this bike. There are many things that are actually a first for Royal Enfield. Namely the upside down shower forks, we've got bigger brakes, stuff like that. An LED front light, can you believe it? Let's talk some more on the road. They call this part of the world the land of endless highways. So for India, it's pretty open. The most densely populated place in the world. And probably the best place in the country to test a bike like this, a cruiser. Interestingly, there is some tension us being here. We're right on the border of Pakistan and India, who notoriously don't get along. And it's not a tourist border, it's a military border. So there's a lot of suspicion. We're not allowed to fly drones in case we look like a spy. There's jet fighters all over the airport. I think we were the only passenger jet A guy approached with some vigour holding an AK-47 and finger on the trigger. So yeah, we're definitely being a little careful. I'm definitely not going to be a smart ass, but I think we should be okay. Yeah, see, so we've got the same 648cc twin cylinder as in the Interceptor and the Continental GT 650. It's unchanged. I expect this is slightly less sprightly than its aforementioned siblings, just because it's quite a lot heavier, this bike, but compared to Royal Enfield's single cylinder models, this thing is much happier. It's much more willing to accelerate. It's more than happy over 100 kilometers an hour. So while Royal Enfield has played with cruisers in the past, I think this is their first serious cruiser. This is a bike that would be happy to do big days on the freeway. It's not a powerhouse, this twin motor, but it doesn't feel like it's working really hard. It feels happy. It's actually a really sweet motor. I really enjoyed the Interceptor. And for most of the world, maybe not so much in Australia, but out here, this bike would seem like a rocket ship. There's quite a few things that are unique to this bike that you just don't get on any other Royal Enfield model. This has an LED headlight, upside down shoulder forks. That's the first time we've ever seen upside down forks or an LED headlight on a Royal Enfield, believe it or not. It's not exactly cutting edge technology, but we've got it for the first time. We've also got slightly bigger brakes provided by Vibey, which is a subsidiary of Brembo, so I suspect they're good things. And yeah, they're slightly bigger. I suspect that's because this bike weighs a little bit more than the Interceptor and the Conti, so needs a bit more braking. You also get a lot of added niceties. There's little sort of chrome covers and little bits and pieces to just make it feel a little bit more premium than the other 650 twins. I don't want to go so far as calling it derivative, but I see a lot of Triumph Bonneville in this bike. You'll notice the headlight mount, some of these bezels. Just have a look around some of the paint jobs. There's a bit of Bonnie in that, I have to say, but look, there's nothing wrong with that. It looks good. It draws on Royal Enfield's British heritage, and I think the bike really presents well. There's heaps of accessory options. You can really make it your own. Royal Enfield's got a lot better at providing that stuff over the last few years. It's quite good quality, actually. This one I'm on has a screen. It's got a pillion backrest, but there's heaps of variations you can take. You know, you can have a solo one. You can have one with big hard panniers. So it really is in line with other cruiser models. Of course, nowhere near as fast as a Harley Davidson, nowhere near as sophisticated as a BMW K1600. But in terms of what it can do practically, this is a real cruiser. And so Royal Enfield continues to enter more markets. They're a-coming. They are a-coming. They sell so many motorcycles in India, but the numbers are just growing everywhere, including Australia. We just learnt that Royal Enfield bought a stake in Stark Future, the electric bike company, so you can bet your ass Royal Enfield's developing an electric model. I don't think they're rushing it, but it's coming, and you really get the impression that Royal Enfield is, you know, thinking about the future. Do you know any Led Zeppelin? This, guys, is the ancient city of Kuldhara. The story goes that everyone up and vanished at once. Apparently it's cursed. I don't know about that. Do you feel cursed, Matty? What do you think?
I did walk into a temple with shoes on, so not feeling great about that.
You are starting to sort of grow wings.
I'll take that.
Anyway, pretty incredible. Must be sandstone. It's freezing cold to the touch. It goes on and on for ages. something else. India, huh? We managed to get out of the sprawl and just had a great little ride on a straight-ish bit of road, bumpy as hell, goats walking across the road at all times, so not exactly comforting, but you know, we got to do some cruising. It's a cruiser after all. It carries over so much of the charm from the other 650 twins as I totally expected, and it does its job as a cruiser without doubt. So I guess we should talk first impressions. One thing that's coming to mind is price. That's going to be the big deal here in terms of sales in Australia and indeed the world. You know, the Interceptor and the Continental GT 650 is so accessible, but this one's got some extra bits on it. You know, it's got proper shower suspension, and I would love to see Royal Enfield keep that price down, and I think this thing's going to be a hit. But anyway, enough business talk. Let's get back on the road, see some things. Onward. Obviously it's supposed to be some cultural trip, but you know, you're riding with your mates. It's never long before it descends into hoonery. You're not really supposed to slide a Super Meteor on the sand. I was kind of surprised how stable it was, to be honest, but whatever. We're getting towards golden hour now. Been on the road all day visiting ancient cities. This place is absolutely remarkable. I mean, you could do this trip on just about any bike, but it's fitting that it's on a Royal Enfield in India, isn't it? And the Super Meteor, it's been a delight, honestly. So more and more and more of this until the wheels fall off, I think.
Spence. Hey Spence, what do you got?
Well, it's day 2. We're going to Kamsar, 350 clicks out. It's going to get stinking hot, I reckon. Look at that sun, like not a cloud in the sky. Bit of India, I reckon. Maybe some Indian food. Might see some Indian people. Might do a burnout. Life's good.
All ready?
Ready to go, Matty? Ready to go. How do I look?
You look set. What do you got going on? Gonna be cold?
Should be right, mate. Got some layers. Alpine Stars. Don't mean to brag or anything, but Alpine Stars. Riding past this big military compound. I probably shouldn't be filming, but it's just between you and I. Look at those tanks up on the hill there. I hope you can see that. Fair income. I've been riding for what, 10 Ks, and it's just looked like this the whole way. Just must be a massive military operation. Here we go, here's some more tanks. Don't shoot. This bike is going to be a really compelling option, particularly for people who are on Royal Enfield 350 models and just want to step up. They just want power, you know, sick of smashing through the gears just to overtake someone at 80 k's an hour. And you know, this thing I was doing 150 kilometers an hour yesterday, so you know, it's a real motorcycle. It's a full-size bike, not super fast, but you know, it's got some torque, gets going. It's a great motor too, like it's really beautifully smooth, and as is the gearbox. Here's a good opportunity. Come on! 158! 159! 160! No! actually quite nice and stable in the corners. As I mentioned, hey look, tanks, holy shit, look at that. As I was saying, like, one of the biggest differences between the Super Meteor and the other models is it gets upside down forks. First time ever for a Royal Enfield to have upside down forks by Showa, and so the bike feels a lot more planted. It doesn't necessarily handle better, but it definitely feels better suspended. It is slightly harsh over bumps, like it's kind of stiff. But I'm willing to accept that any day for, you know, the improved stability. Tommy, how you going, brother? I want to get over 160. It's a struggle. Come on, you bastard. Come on. Woo. There it is. Well, now I see why they call it the land of endless highways. We were sitting on about, what, 130 for how long were we done, Dylan? What do you reckon?
Yeah, they were 2 peaks. They weren't even 10 minutes, I think it was.
About an hour sitting. Yeah, 130, 140. It's so happy at those high speeds. It's really good. So it's such a change from the 350 single Royal Enfield. So you can really cruise. You got to keep your wits about you out here, though. I tell you what, like, anything could happen. We're riding past military trucks with tanks on them, and always there's cows and dead dogs on the road, and who the hell knows what. It's you know, an hour on the highway in Australia, you just sit back and relax, but here you're so stimulated, thinking of everything that could go wrong. You don't know where to look half the time, but what an experience. I know I've said that about 10 times, but it's full on. If you can get here, it's absolutely worth it. Sweetheart, there's lots of birds.
Yes, Bill.
Huh? You have it.
No.
No? Okay. Beggars can't be choosers. Yeah. So, what's the verdict, you ask? Well, the Super Meteor really does carry over so much of what makes the 650 Twins so special. It's just full of character, and it's certainly fit for purpose as a laid-back mid-capacity cruiser. Its weight and Vibey bars proved a bit of a drawback, but it remains easy to handle at low speeds and will chew up highway miles all day and in comfort. That's just something that the 350 class models can't claim. Surely many Australian riders will look for a bit more power, but for those stepping up from Royal Enfield's smaller models, it'll seem more than adequate and even exciting up to the speed limit. It's set to hit Australian showrooms in the next couple of months, and while pricing is yet to be locked in, my best guess says that it will launch from a hair under 13 grand. This bike is pegged as a big hit down under, and if it's priced right, I have no doubt that the fine folks at Royal Enfield are right on the money. Jaisalmer, India, life, motorcycles, mates, burnouts, beer, music, friendship. Is there anything better in the world?